I think the best attorneys are able to do both and
Mm,
resonate with the clients because when we can make them feel like human beings and comfortable with us, I can present them to the court as a human being
mm.
because, it's a very dehumanizing process.
Welcome to the Verdict Signal podcast, where we feature how top attorneys help people make informed choices, avoid common mistakes, and move forward with confidence. Now, enjoy the show, and here's your host.
Daniel Gao here. I'm the host of Verdict Signal, and today we're expanding our conversations to the experts who protect what people build, their careers, families, businesses. I have Roland Soltesz, a seasoned criminal defense attorney and founder of Soltesz Law Group, serving clients across California's Central Coast. Licensed since 2003, he is one of the few lawyers in the region qualified to handle death penalty cases and has tried over 100 cases to jury verdict, securing dismissals and acquittals in matters ranging from murder and attempted murder to gang crimes, robbery, and fraud. So, Roland, welcome and glad to have you here.
Glad to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, so Roland, let's start from the very beginning. What first got you interested in the legal field?
Um, Actually, this is an interesting story. My senior year in high school in civics class, um, my civics teacher at the time, her son was at USC Law School, and she would come in raving about him all the time and talking about him. And I go, that sounds pretty cool. I want to be that guy. And so it took me a little while till I made it back to law school, but I did. Now it's been well over 20 years.
Mhm.
And so just ever since I was in high school, that senior year, the bug caught me.
Okay. And what led you to focus specifically on criminal law?
I always wanted to, yeah, I mean, the romance of the movies and TV and the fight. I always thought I wanted to be in the battle. I wanted to be in the trenches. I wanted to be the courtroom warrior arguing for people.
Hmm.
And the most interesting part of the law seemed to be criminal defense. I'd done financial planning and wills and trusts for people for a long time, but it's just shuffling paper.
Mhm.
Whereas you're dealing with people's lives in the criminal defense. You're defending, the Constitution of the United States is what we always say.
Mhm.
And so I started as a law clerk my first year in law school at the Tulare County Public Defender's Office, and I stayed there for 14 years. It was pretty good.
Uh-huh.
And I became the senior attorney there, basically doing just heavy duty litigation.
Mm. Okay. And Roland, what do you, I guess, what's one thing that you wish more people understood about working with an attorney such as yourself?
To be honest, to tell them what's really going on with your life,
Mm.
because we have a lot of tools at our disposal.
Mhm.
Disposal. It's a lot of things. It's not always about getting to the word not guilty or
Mm.
getting an acquittal. Sometimes it's about getting the appropriate treatment or sentence for the right person. One thing that shocked me when I first got into criminal defense was the sheer volume of people that are mentally ill. Okay.
Mm.
I would have to say that at least 50% of the people that go through the criminal justice system have some kind of profound mental illness.
Oh, wow.
Um, a lot of it is because of, prolonged drug abuse, but the number of people that are schizophrenic, that are obsessive compulsive, that are bipolar is just phenomenal. And so we have a lot of programs that the state of California and its enlightenment is actually put in place over the last 5 years. We have a mental health diversion for people to get their life back on track. So
Mhm.
part of what we do and what I enjoy doing is really having an honest conversation with the person what's going on in life. So then we could use our entire background, all of our tools and resources to put them in a better place.
Mm. Okay. And do you feel like there's, I guess, a hesitation with some of the clients that come to you as far as, oh, this guy's a criminal attorney. I don't want to tell him everything because I don't want to get in trouble with the law. Like, is there kind of some of that hesitation of telling you everything when they really should be?
I don't really find that because I'm pretty open with everybody and I don't pull any punches. I don't hold anything back. I tell them the truth.
Mm.
Warts and all, everything. I believe you should know exactly what you're facing and what you're looking at. But at the same time, I ask people, for me to handle your case properly, I need to know all the details
Mm.
because you never know what detail it is that's going to set somebody free or the case will turn around. I've had multitudes of cases that had turned around on one single fact that we didn't discover till we were into the case for months. Um, and so I look at it from that angle.
Mhm. Okay. And I know that you specialize in kind of cases that a lot of other lawyers are afraid to touch. So I guess is that kind of going into like your courtroom warrior that you wanted to go after that, or was it kind of a specific reason that led you in that direction?
It's when I was a public defender, it seemed to be that I got all the sex cases assigned to me.
Mm,
And when I was the public defender, I was the kind of guy that, there'd be a murder and I'd see it on the news and I would walk into the boss's office and I'd say, I want to do that case.
mm,
And they would just assign it to me because I wanted to do it and I usually won.
mm,
And so I pretty much had my pick of cases. So I wanted the toughest, the biggest glory cases because I wanted to prove myself and actually make a difference.
mhm,
Um, and so that's kind of how I got into doing those tough cases. And after I did many sex cases, and when I went into private practice almost a decade ago, it just naturally gravitated to doing, heavy duty murders, heavy duty sex cases, because that's my wheelhouse. And not everybody has that background and that ability. And also, when you're dealing with a lot of sex crimes, you have to have a really strong ability to compartmentalize things. And
yeah.
so I have that ability.
Okay.
Yeah, where a lot of attorneys don't have that ability.
I can imagine. Yeah, it's not easy to deal with that all day, every day. So
Oh, and some of the things I've seen, yeah.
you can probably do your own TV show, like your own Law and Order from all the stuff you've seen.
Oh, I could tell stories till next year.
Yeah. So when it comes to criminal law, like what are some of the most common misconceptions people have about this type of law?
That the cops are your friends.
Mm,
That's the biggest thing.
mhm,
People always want to talk to the police. Okay,
mm,
they want to say the police come and talk to them. They want to try and explain themselves. And I tell people you can't explain your way out of being arrested.
mm,
The only reason they want to talk to you is to gather evidence for yours to get you in jail. They're not looking to exonerate you, they're looking to convict you. And the whole system is set up and geared towards getting a conviction.
mm,
Also, one of the things that people don't realize is the sheer volume of cases dwarfs how many trials are done. In a large county like Santa Clara County, largest one in Northern California, they can only do a few hundred trials a year. Okay. And they got 15, 20,000 cases filed each year. And maybe they can do 250 trials.
mm,
And so there's a big choke point. So the majority of cases do not go to trial. Very seldom do people go to trial. And because of that, people, there's a really push in the system for plea bargaining and getting a deal done.
mm,
And the courtrooms, the judges, the prosecutors, the public defenders, everybody's looking, to get in and out. And so that's a big thing. People don't really understand how big the machine is and it's going to grind them up.
mm.
Um, Also, I think people think, there's some misconceptions about Miranda rights, when they apply, when they don't apply, things of that nature.
Okay. So for the Miranda rights, would you mind just kind of sharing some high level, I guess maybe not
Sure.
tips, but like high level items on that?
So one of the things to know about Miranda, it only applies to what they call custodial interrogation, which means you're under arrest or you're not free to leave. So a lot of times people are pulled over in a car
Mm,
and the police officer starts talking to them. Well, at that point in time, Miranda rights don't apply because it's just an investigation. It's determined to be a momentary detention.
mm,
Um, and at that point in time, you don't. But once a police officer, that's why we always tell people, ask the police officers if you're free to leave.
mm,
And if they say no, then we can argue in court that they were detained, they were not free to leave, and a Miranda rights apply.
mm,
One of the other things people always think about with Miranda rights is if they weren't read the Miranda rights, that the arrest is invalid. And that's not true at all. All Miranda does is apply to statements that you made. It doesn't change anything about your arrest. Quite often, police just arrest people. They don't give them Miranda rights and they don't question them at all. And then they come to me and say, I wasn't read my Miranda. I said, well, did they question you? And they go, no. And I go, well, that, you know, doesn't apply.
hmm. Wow, interesting. Okay. So I guess when it comes to mistakes that people make, like when it comes to either before, like during they're being arrested or before they call a lawyer, you kind of talked about some of them, like you don't necessarily want to try and explain your way out of being arrested.
Yeah.
But what are some of the other big mistakes you see people make?
Well, number one, once they start talking, um, some of the things they say, they make their cases worse.
Mm,
Um, so that's one of the mistakes. Also, a mistake that people make quite often, and these are people that aren't arrested, maybe lower level crimes, they walk to court and think they can explain to the judge what's going to happen.
Mm,
And that doesn't work either.
mm,
Um, Not getting attorneys involved early in the case, because if I can get the case before it even goes to court, sometimes we can get rid of it before it goes to court.
mhm.
We can also set up an investigation. There could be videos out there. And so it's really important that people get to somebody quickly, because we can set up a proper defense for them. And quite often we get rid of the cases before it even makes it into the courtroom.
Oh, wow. Okay. So I guess when it comes to timing, then when should they get someone like yourself involved? Because I guess hopefully a lot of people don't face this situation with arrest, then they're in a serious, like potentially serious trouble. So I think a lot of people just don't know. Like, okay, they're arrested, they're taken to prison, and then what? Like, do they get someone like yourself involved at that point, or is there like a whole process and then they get you involved later on, or like kind of?
So there's two ways that we look at it. I mean, not everybody that commits a crime gets arrested right on the spot. A lot of them are just given a citation to appear in court on a certain day. The police arrest them. Those are generally the lower level misdemeanors. Most DUI arrest somebody is released almost immediately. They put them in a sobering center for 4 hours, 5 hours, and then they release them.
Mm,
Um, so those cases aren't as time critical. However, there's a lot of rights, especially with driving under the influence. You have to request the DMV hearing within 10 days. People don't always realize that.
mm,
And there's a lot of stuff that goes along with the DUIs that we can help if we're in it early. So I tell people, if you're arrested in your home, it's not necessary to call me at 3 in the morning. Okay. There's not much we're going to do at 3 in the morning, but you should be talking to attorneys. Call 2 to 3 attorneys the very next day. Get people involved, get information as soon as you're possible so you can make an educated decision. As far as people are in jail, it's even more important to get an attorney involved recently. There's been a lot of change in the law in California as to bail. Okay. There's a new case, Kowalczyk, that came out about 2 weeks ago, which really changed the bail system in California. Basically, bail can be set, but there's limited circumstances when somebody can be held without any bail. And once they said bail, it has to be considered affordable. So if I only make $10,000 a year, I can't afford $1 million of bail.
mhm.
And so it's unfair. There's been people that have stolen a cheeseburger. Kowalczyk, he had stole a cheeseburger. He spent 8 months in jail for stealing a cheeseburger.
Oh,
His bail was $40,000. He couldn't afford it. He's stealing a cheeseburger. How's he going to get out of jail?
yeah.
And so he sat there for 8 months. So it's patently unfair. We can argue for bail. We can argue for OR release. We can get people put on electric monitors. And so then they're released. And it's so much easier to defend somebody when they're not in jail, especially if there's mental health issues. Then we get them into a doctor. We get them evaluated. We start therapy. We start classes. Somebody that is a drug addict, we get them in a treatment center. We get them in a program right away. Somebody's arrested for spousal battery. We get them in counseling right away. We have them taking battery classes right away. It's our philosophy to front load these cases. The more we do up front, the better the result is on the end, and the better the person is. Our goal is for people never to have to come back. We want to find out what the root cause of their problem is and why they're there.
Okay. Now, it kind of seems like there's maybe not necessarily different levels of, hey, I just got pulled over and arrested for DUI versus I robbed the place versus I killed somebody, as far as when they should get a criminal lawyer involved. Like, it kind of seems like as long as you're arrested, you should get a criminal attorney involved, kind of no matter what.
Yeah, and the main difference is the amount of exposure, the amount of time somebody could do by the crime. I mean, a murder case you can get 25 to life.
Mhm.
Sex cases you can get 200 to life. It just depends upon child molest type cases.
Mhm.
However, even if it's a lowly misdemeanor for shoplifting, it could have lifelong consequences for you. Those convictions affect you. You could lose your job, you could lose your housing, you could lose your freedom. And so even the smallest cases have immense consequences for people. And so we have to take that in consideration. And the people that generally get these lower level offenses don't have much of a record,
Mhm.
if anything at all. And
Mhm.
so it's important to keep people's record clean so they can keep going to work and job and be productive members of society.
Okay. And I guess, is that also something that a criminal defense attorney would be involved in, as far as the negotiation of, hey, we want this removed from the record. Hey, can we get a lower sentence? Is that kind of all involved in what a criminal defense attorney would do?
The good ones. Um, The good ones do that. I
Mhm.
mean, we do that. I mean, everything we do, we're cognizant of the effect on their life. Um, we negotiate different charges because some charges you have to register as a sex offender. Some you might have to register as a gang member. Those have tremendous consequences. Um, and in every case, we have to look at immigration, okay? Because especially with how aggressive the federal government is on immigration enforcement now, it's really important that people are pleading to crimes that aren't likely to get them deported. I mean, if you're convicted of drug sales, even if you got probation and you're released back in the community, you're deportable. And there's a good chance if you get pulled over by the police, you're going to get deported. Whereas a simple possession of drugs, um, that's not deportable offense. And so we have like domestic violence, where domestic violence is the deportable offense, but there's some things that are similar to that, like false imprisonment, that isn't deportable. So we negotiate those types of resolutions for people on a daily basis. The punishment usually is the same, but the charge they're convicted on is something that doesn't give them the lifelong consequences. So we work on that very, very hard.
Okay. And Roland, I mean, you've worked with a lot of murder trials, and you've
Yes.
probably won more murder trials than anyone else around.
Anyone I
So,
know, I'll tell you
okay, there you
that.
go. So, I mean, what do you think is the reason for your success?
Um, attention to detail.
Mm,
And I don't mean um, what everybody looks like, but I mean the facts. I mean, you just don't know what facts are going to turn a case around. So I tell people when you get to trial, you got to be cognizant of everything. You have to listen to every word that the district attorney says, every word that a police officer and a witness says,
mm,
because certain words or statements change it. So it's a hyper focused in these trials, in the murder cases. Good investigation, um, working hard, finding the truth. I mean, quite often what the police and the district attorney think is the truth isn't the truth. The truth could be bad, but it might not be as bad. And so we're able to find that by working hard and asking my clients. Some attorneys sit there and say, I don't want my client to tell me what they did. I don't want them to confess to me. No, I want to know every bloody detail
mm,
because at that point, um, we can work with it. Then I could start working on defenses and alternate scenarios for what happened and figure out what really happened, what was going through their head.
Okay. So I kind of want to summarize some of the steps, I guess, smart steps that people can take if they're facing some type of criminal
Sure.
issue. We talked a little bit about you don't necessarily want to try and explain your way out of an arrest. Just kind of like don't say anything. Get
Yeah,
a
keep your mouth shut.
That's a good way of putting it. Get a attorney involved early on in the process. Be
Yes.
very detailed with that attorney, the entire story. Is there anything else?
I think it's important in cases to document, write down your impressions, your thoughts, where you were at, what happened, are there witnesses around? I mean, that's all the details that attorneys are going to want to know. I want to know if there were witnesses, who they were, who can help you, who your medical doctors are. Um, if you're in some type of therapy, to keep track of that. We have people come in, oh, I don't know what my doctor's name is. Oh, you see him every week, but
Mhm.
it's just having an awareness of what's going on. I tell people when there's we get a lot of type of restraining order violations for custody where one parent doesn't do what they expect. And so there's accusations all the time back and forth. I tell people in those cases, keep accurate records, get a calendar, put it on the wall and write down every time you see your kid, when the parent didn't bring the kid over, when they brought it over, when you got phone calls. And so that's an important step to really document what's going on.
Okay. And I mean, with AI now getting more and more prevalent, do you see any of your clients kind of using AI or it being an issue like, oh, I put this into AI and I can get out of this because of whatever AI told them to do. Are you seeing that people are using that? And if they are, is that an issue?
Um, um, Not yet.
Mm,
Okay, I'm fully anticipating it as AI gets more, grows more. Frankly, my mind is blown every time I use Claude.
mm,
Okay, I use Claude daily. It's fully integrated in my practice now.
mm,
The AI tools that we have make me more efficient. I'm a better attorney. We can do stuff, but it's important to realize that they're just tools,
mm,
and there still has to be some judgment there.
mm,
AI is great at spitting out the law, but you have to be able to apply that law and you have to be able to look at it. And at this point in time, AI can't do that. Where we get a lot of misconceptions more than AI is some of these guys doing YouTube videos.
Oh.
And a lot of times I watch these videos and I go, that's not accurate. And people come to us and they say this, well, this guy says if I'm carrying a gun, I could get out. And I'm like, it's not necessarily true. You got to look at it from a different point. These are the real defenses that you can have. And so
Mm,
it's not just, it's not hype or tout.
okay. So let's say that someone is looking for a criminal defense attorney. They've never been in the situation before. How would you advise this person on finding an attorney that can really help them, that really understands the law very well, can really go to bat for them and help them get out of this situation, or at least reduce maybe not the sentencing, but reduce the impact of it?
The best people that you can go to is if you have friends that have been in trouble. You
Mhm.
reach out to your contacts, your family, say, have you dealt with, criminal lawyers before? Who would you recommend? Personal recommendations are the best because if somebody had a bad experience with me, they're probably not going to recommend, their brother-in-law who gets a DUI to come see me. They're going to say, go see somebody else.
Mhm.
But not everybody has family or friends that have that experience. So what the vast majority of people do is they pick up their phone and they type in Google, who's the best attorney near me?
Yeah.
And then Google pops up, you get the first like 10 names up there, almost they're all paid ads. Okay.
Mhm.
Google makes billions of dollars off ads.
Oh, yeah.
Um, and there's a map pack. And so people look at it, they look at the number of reviews. I tell people, read the reviews, see if those reviews ring true to what you're talking about. Go to
Mhm.
the lawyer's website, watch his videos. If somebody like me who has a YouTube, Instagram, Facebook channel, they can see me talking on just about every topic out there
Mhm.
and watch those videos if they have them. Look at their frequently asked questions page, but more importantly, have a real conversation with those attorneys. And a lot of people, they interview two, three attorneys to make sure they have the right fit. And that's important that you trust your attorney and you can be honest with them. So I tell people it's an important decision. You're spending your hard-earned money on these people, and we want to do a good job for everybody.
Mhm.
And we're very results oriented. When I talk to people, I really ask them, what is your goals here? What's your biggest fear? We're trying to uncover what their biggest fears are because we want to address that. We want to be able to do that. And so that's what I tell people to look at, find an attorney that resonates with you and talk to them and look at their experience. I mean, if you're arrested for murder, don't go and hire somebody that specializes in DUIs or traffic tickets.
Mhm.
Um, and I also say, look for attorneys that specialize in the area that you need, especially criminal law. If you're a generalist and you're doing 10 different things, you're not that great. Look
Mhm.
for a specialist in criminal law.
Mhm. Okay. Now, how would you balance when you're advising someone to look for a lawyer? And you mentioned that someone you resonate with, but how do you balance between you resonating, you liking this attorney, and their ability to get you the end result? And I know in an ideal world, you want both, someone who's very, very, very capable and someone that you also resonate with really, really well and you trust very, very well. But I'm sure that people, when they're talking different attorneys, they say, "Oh, I resonate with this one better," but this one just their win record is much better than anybody else by far, but I don't necessarily really resonate with them. How do people kind of balance those two?
Um, well, I think it is important to have a balance of that. I mean, there's a lot of good attorneys out there, and there's also attorneys that aren't as effective out there. And not everybody has, it's like surgeons, they don't all have the best bedside manner.
Mhm.
Okay. But if you're going to have heart surgery, you want the top heart surgeon. If you're going to
Mhm.
have eye surgery, you want the top eye surgeon, even if he's not the friendliest guy in the world.
Yeah.
Um, so for an attorney, you want the most qualified attorney for the type of case you're facing.
Mhm.
So I think the qualifications and background and the ability of the attorney is the number one priority, and then how you resonate with him. That's how people should address it. But look at the qualifications. If you're confident this person is the right one for the job because of his knowledge and experience, um, then work on that relationship. It's incumbent on the attorney. I think the best attorneys are able to do both and
Mhm.
resonate with the clients because when we can make them feel like human beings and comfortable with us, I can present them to the court as a human being
Mhm.
because, it's a very dehumanizing process. Okay. In the courtroom, when the bailiffs bring people in, they radio, we have 10 bodies coming up to court. 10 bodies coming up to court. Can you imagine that? That's just dehumanizing. You devalued everybody that comes into jail that way. And so it's really important that we can portray everybody as a human being and as an individual. And by doing that, they get a much better defense and better outcomes.
Okay. And when it comes to that resonating, I mean, how do you set the right expectations for your clients so that they feel supportive, they feel comfortable throughout this entire process, which is already just very, very stressful. So how do you set those expectations for them?
Well, I think it's really important that you have the honest conversation we talked about and you set goals and expectations. What are your expectations? An attorney should be asking the client, what is your expectations for your representation? What are you looking for? What is your ultimate goal? Is your goal to get the least amount of jail time possible? Is your goal to be into a rehab program? Is your goal to get the case dismissed? And so my firm, we're very goal oriented, we're results oriented. We fight until we get the results that our clients want. And so I think conveying the sense that you care, that you're fighting for them, and you guys are, we use this word all the time, aligned, but you're aligned in the same direction. You guys are on the same team. You don't want to be fighting each other because when you fight your attorney, usually things don't go well. So you want to feel comfortable that way. So we try to set the stage by asking really good questions, talking to people about their life, what's going on, what got them to this point. I mean, why did you steal? Why did you do this? What was going through your head? And when you start asking those types of questions, as opposed to telling, well, I'm going to go to court and I'll file 12 motions. Nobody cares about that. They want to care about that you care and how you feel. And that's what we portray to people.
Okay, very well said. Now, Roland, where do you think the future of criminal law is going? You kind of mentioned with the changes with bail, but are there any like big changes that people really should be paying attention to?
For the average citizen, no. The criminal justice system, it is what it is. It's a machine. It grinds people up and spits them out. But it's important that we have that because, we're a society of laws. And if people violate the law, there are consequences. But you also need to make sure that the government is abiding by um, their mandate. They're not arresting the wrong people. They're not putting in the jail people that shouldn't be in jail. They're treating their people like human beings. So there's a divide there. I think what people need to understand too is the options that are available that are even growing. I mean, there's new programs every day to help people avoid criminality. And so the biggest forefront and biggest changes over the last few years, other than bail, has been the treatment progress, the programs that we're able to get people in, the enlightenment of that. And so that's been a change. And I think AI is going to change the way hearings and evidence is presented in police reports. I mean, we're already seeing it. Some of the police departments now, they have their body cameras, and the body camera downloads the video to a computer, and the computer spits out an AI police report and summary. And
Wow.
so, and then the police are supposed to review it, but so then they're getting their recording, they're doing an AI summary. We get the recording, we get an AI summary done, and then we compare the AIs, and then our AIs are talking to each other. There is a danger, I think, of sometimes things are going to get homogenized. I hope not. I hope not. But I think people need to really realize that there's a lot of advanced tools out there law enforcement uses. And the one thing that I didn't mention earlier people don't realize is that their phone is tracking you 24/7. That little computer that you pull around with you every day is the greatest law enforcement tool ever designed. And it's only going to get worse in terms of the privacy and the ability for the government to pry into what's happening in your life. I mean, Google's tracking you every 3 seconds. And they could tell me, you could get an information from Google and they will tell you within feet of where I've been for the last year, every step I've taken, if I had my phone with me, because my phone's always, I got Google running, it's always pinging. They pick that stuff up all the time. The data they collect, the data the government collects, it's just phenomenal. And I think with AI, now they can process it. That's what's even scarier.
Yeah.
Quickly too.
Well, hopefully the future will not be so dystopian. Yeah.
1984 was a long time ago already.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Got to update that book now. Okay. Well, Roland, with the future in mind, I mean, what's the vision for your practice?
To help as many people as possible. My vision is I want to change lives. We change lives, one person at a time, but at the same time, I want to be able to touch people. The future of my practice is my daughter. My daughter is a partner in our firm now. She's 26. She graduated from Santa Clara Law School 2 years ago. She's doing very well. So I think the future of my firm is in good hands, and it's training the next generation of young lawyers. I've always been a mentor to people and trained them and talked about how to do trials. So many people say, Roland, you helped me do my first trial. You taught me how to do this. It's important that we give back to the community. And I think part of what I do is giving back and by training new lawyers. So I just want to have a legacy of caring, client-centric, results-oriented focus.
Oh, sounds like a wonderful legacy. Okay.
Yeah,
Well, Roland, I have one last question for you, but before I ask it, I
sure.
do want to point people to your website at solteszlaw.com.
That's
Now,
correct.
last question for you. What does peace of mind mean to you?
In context with my practice, I think it's when I go to sleep at night, I know I've done everything humanly possible within my control to help everybody that I have as clients. So I have peace of mind when I know I've done my job properly. We can't win every case. Okay. Sometimes the facts just are the facts. And we have more video now than we had 20 years ago. You would seldom see video in a case. Now it's almost every case there's video. There's cameras everywhere.
Mhm.
And so if I fought as hard as I could for that person, I did everything I could, then I go home feeling proud. And they're happy too. Even when they lose, the clients are happy when they see their attorney doing everything they can to get them out of this mess. And they know, look, we did everything we could. You fought hard, and this is the result, and we appreciate it.
Wow.
And that's how I get peace of mind, by having appreciative clients.
Okay. Well, there you have it. Roland sharing his expertise. So, Roland, where can people contact you in your practice?
Well, the easiest way is the website has forms. They can call us. We're at 831-230-6866. And also they can do a search, Instagram, Law by Roland, Facebook, Soltesz Law Group, YouTube, Soltesz Law Group. So we're in multitudes of channels. And people go to my Instagram page. There's at least 100 videos on there and on YouTube as well that people can, on a variety of topics.
Okay. Well, Roland, this was great. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for shedding some light
Thank
on
you.
this, which I think a lot of people just hopefully they never have to go through this. But even if they do, this is probably their first time. They probably have a lot of questions about it. So thank you for shedding some light on that and sharing your knowledge.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Verdict Signal podcast. Any questions? Please contact the practice directly with the contact information provided during the show. We'll see you again next time. Bye for now.